Hey guys, we are live streaming today, and I have my friends from USCCA with us here this evening. And on camera we have Brock, and just off camera we have Spencer. How you doing, Brock?
Awesome. Beautiful
Good.
night.
Good. I'm glad you could join us. So, yeah, let's just kind of start off with the background. I actually became a member of USCCA last August, so I've been a member for a year, and I really didn't talk about it much. I wanted to be a member for a year and see how things went, and check out the emails and kind of learn something about the organization. I know there's other choices out there for the services that you guys provide, but in my research before I decided to become a member of your services, I found that you guys were highly rated, and I couldn't really find a negative review. So I felt it was a safe bet giving you guys a shot. And over that course of time, I've gotten to know you, and I've gotten to know Spencer. And now I wanted to do a live stream and introduce my audience to you guys so we can kind of put a face with an organization. And also, I want to let my audience know that I do have a link down below in all video descriptions. And that link will take you to a sign up page for USCCA services. And if you follow that link and become a member of their services, you will get their coverage, which we're going to talk about here in this video, and you'll also support us here at the Military Arms Channel. So if you do that, pass that link around, use that link if you're thinking about joining up, trying the services, and it helps us, helps you, and of course it helps USCCA. So Brock, we're going to take some questions from the audience, but first let's kind of start off by talking about what is USCCA and what does it bring to the firearms community?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, Tim. This is an awesome opportunity. Really cool that you joined with us and tested out what we are, who we are, and how we do things before you ever wanted to talk to your audience about it. I think one, that says a lot about you, and two, it says a lot about who we are. That you've been with us for over a year, decide to stick it out, hang out, and now you're going to tell your, almost a million people about who we are. So thank you from Spencer and I and everybody here at the USCCA for doing this.
Absolutely, man.
Very cool. Self-defense education, training, and legal protection is our bread and butter. It's what we do best. And I personally and everybody here thinks that we do that the best in the industry as well. We provide a lot of good education and training, not only through digital articles, our concealed carry magazine that gets printed 8 times a year and arrives to people's doorsteps. You can also view it digitally if you're a member. Our elite members actually can go all the way back to the very first issue ever published over 10 years ago and read those. So we have a lot of training and education in print and digital material, but then we also have our instructor program, which I've been with the company about 5 years now. And from what it was when I first started to where it is right now is unrecognizable. The instructors that we have coming through this program, both no-namers and people you would recognize, and want their autograph from, has been pretty cool. So the training that we're providing for not only concealed carry permit holders or those who want to, carry a gun responsibly every single day, but also for those who want to teach people how to carry a gun every day. And then also those who want to teach other people how to teach people to carry a gun every day. So we have a training counselor, a certified instructor program, and then those who are out there teaching all across the country and taking our classes. We have a multiple tiered system for that.
Awesome.
And that encompasses the training and the education and the knowledge that we try to get out to the industry. And I think probably what most people are here for this evening is to learn about our protection. And the legal and financial protection that we offer is bar none in the industry. I'm sure we're going to see it come up in the chat. People talk about, price and unlimited coverage and all these different buzzwords that companies like to throw around. So I hope that this evening we're able to dispel some of those myths, bust through some of the barriers that maybe people have to buying this protection and having that peace of mind behind them. And any of the other questions that people really have, or if they're a little hesitant to sign up or to ask or whatever,
Yeah.
our call center is open right now. Our social department's open right now. So if people actually do have questions, you can't talk to me at the moment, but you can most certainly talk to somebody on the phone or on our Facebook page or via chat. If you want to actually talk to someone one-on-one, you most certainly can do that tonight.
Awesome. Well, so let's kind of talk about what the service really is. So I signed up because, you know, first of all, it's not insurance, and we can talk about the intricacies of that and why it's not technically insurance. It's a plan. It's a protection plan, and the reason I signed up for it is because I do carry a firearm every single day. If I'm awake, I have a gun on. The only time I don't have a gun on is when I'm federally prohibited from having a firearm on. So, if you see me out walking around, I have a gun, and so thinking about that and the ramifications of it, I'm not too worried about the legal side. I'm fairly level-headed, and I try to avoid conflict. Should I get into a self-defense shooting, I'm fairly certain that I'm going to make a good judgment call when that time comes. You don't know. You really don't know. In my state, we have stand our ground and castle doctrine, so the law is kind of in my favor. So that wasn't always the concern. The concern for me was, what happens if I do get into a self-defense shooting? It's determined to be perfectly justified, but then the family or whatever of the bad guy or gal, they decide they want to sue me in court. Now, I can sue anybody for any reason, and people are very litigious. And so they think, oh, big YouTuber, he might have money. I'm going to go after him and sue him in court. Well, that really bothers me. And that really was something I was concerned with. And that's why I started looking for services like those provided by USCCA. And so a lot of folks out there are going to have that question, so what does it cover, and how does it protect them? I know one person asked a question, and guys, I just want to let you know that the application software that I'm using here, comments just scroll by. If you do a super chat, it'll pop in a different color. It supports the channel, but I also will try to get to all super chat questions. But one question while we were just kind of doing our little intro there that popped up was, does USCCA protect armed security guards or armed guards? So I'll let you answer that question. Then let's talk about, what it is that you provide specifically when it comes to, people that are concerned with either the legal side, and should they be charged criminally in a self-defense situation, and then also on the civil side, which is the primary reason I came to USCCA, and what it does there and how it helps somebody that might find themselves in a self-defense situation.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff there. So let me answer the part about what is the USCCA in terms of type of coverage. We're not insurance, we're a membership plan. You're purchasing a membership. Once you have that membership, you receive basically a contract between you and the USCCA stating that we'll fulfill the obligation to you as a member. So that's pretty much it. There's a contract there by you signing up as a member. The great part about the contract is you can get out of it if you want. There's a cancellation availability there. We have a 365-day money-back bulletproof guarantee. So if you call on day 364 and you absolutely hated what we offered, we'll give you your full refund back. Some companies out there in the industry don't do that. They give you a prorated refund or whatever it might be. But our customer service is definitely our biggest competitive advantage here. You can call 24/7 right now, talk to somebody who's knowledgeable on state gun laws, who's knowledgeable on the product, and they're just going to be a smiling face. You're actually going to be happy to talk to our customer service as opposed to calling, another big company in general in any industry. You'll really be happy with talking to our folks here. So it is a membership that's what you're purchasing. Part of the membership agreement does unfortunately exclude if you're being paid to provide a protective service, so armed guards, police officers, things like that, just due to the nature of the job. So this is meant to be for the private citizen who's carrying, going about their day, and unfortunately placed into a position where they need to defend themselves or their family. So to answer the question, right now it is not a coverage for professionally armed.
So typically, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys that are in the comment section, if you're employed as an armed guard, typically the agency that you work for has insurance. They have bonds that they have for their employees. So if you find yourself having to use your firearm in a defensive situation, typically the company you're employed by will provide those services. If not, you might want to maybe look for a different company to work for. And I know
Yeah.
that's true for police departments. If you're a police officer, your department protects you and even provides for legal services and things like that to the union, the police union and stuff like that. So that makes perfect sense. Now, one of the things I did see scroll by here, let's see, make sure I don't have any super chats. I have a couple here I want to get to. But one of the questions came up, and this is an issue I'm sure you've had asked before, the question asked before. So what's going on with Washington State? Now, I know there's certain places where your services aren't available, and there's usually a pretty good reason for that. So what's going on with Washington State and perhaps other areas where your services might not be legal or available?
Yeah, unfortunately, we received notice via writing that the state of Washington viewed the product that USCCA was offering as an illegal type product. We were backing an illegal action. We, of course, vehemently disagree with that opinion. It came out of the insurance commissioner's office. So it's odd. We don't provide an insurance, we provide a membership, but the insurance commissioner decided to step in and basically write us a letter stating we could no longer do business there, or at least that they were investigating into the type of business we are doing. Ultimately, the USCCA made a business decision to pull the memberships out of that. It's unfortunate because we have plenty of members in like New York and Washington that we really want to protect. We had members there. Unfortunately, we had to either stop their membership or not renew it, or they're currently going to be running out later on in the year. We've contacted all of them and made sure that we made right in that decision. Unfortunately, we just can't offer it at this time. It's something that really hurts us to do, but to ultimately protect the business and to protect the other 300,000 members, we had to make that business decision. But we are working vigorously to create a product that would potentially provide that coverage back. So we're definitely working hard to do that. It is unfortunate that the political climate does that in industries, but
yeah, I mean, that's what this boils down to, right?
Yeah.
This is a political move by these states.
Exactly.
You're going to find that the states that keep you guys from offering your services are the same states that encroach grossly on our Second Amendment rights. And so they're just trying to punish gun owners. They don't even want you to have the ability to legally defend yourself criminally or civilly. And they're just trying to make it as painful as possible for people to be, armed and carry their firearms for personal defense, which, as we all know, is a constitutionally protected right that we're born with. And yet they want to pull these political stunts just to pander to their political base. And the downside to that is there are people out there that probably live in these areas that could have used your services that may now be, facing bankruptcy or just tremendous legal bills because they were not able to get your services and they found themselves in a justified self-defense situation. So we do have some super chats coming in, so I want to get to them before too many of them go by. I had one I just threw up that was a thank you. A thank you. Let's see what we have here. Okay.
One thing.
This is from Tyven, and Tyven, please check his channel out, guys. Tyven's also a moderator here when we do our live streams, and he asks, are they available in all states? I think we just addressed that. And U.S. territories. Thanks for the stream. No, thank you for helping out, man. And again, please check out the Tyven show. So what about the U.S. territories? That's something we didn't touch upon.
Yeah, good question. If you are in the 50 states and you have our coverage and you travel to one of those territories, you're covered. Unfortunately, we can't offer it to permanent residents of those territories at this time.
Okay, so that brings up an interesting question. So I'm covered. I live in the state of Indiana, and I find myself in Illinois. And, well, actually, my concealed permit's only good as long as I stay in the car. Let's pick a different state that's friendly. So let's go down to Kentucky. I'm traveling to Kentucky, going down to the Iraq veteran shoot here this month, actually, and I find myself in a self-defense shooting. Now, does my membership still protect me because I'm in a state where I'm legally carrying? The event happens, at a gas station in a seedy part of town, and it's in Kentucky. Does my membership still protect me, or are there some gray areas there?
Yeah, so the great part about the USCCA membership is your protection is going to follow you wherever you go in the 50 states. It's not a piecemeal plan. You don't have to pick which state you're going to be traveling to or which states you usually travel to or frequent a lot or anything like that. You sign up for a membership at the gold, platinum, or elite coverage, and you're going to have coverage wherever you go in the U.S. So long as you're not in one of those states that we can't offer the protection in. The cool part about it for those living outside those states is that, Tim, if you were to go to Washington, you would be covered since your permanent residence is over there in Indiana,
Interesting.
just for those permanent residents of the states.
Okay, well, that's interesting to know because I didn't know that. So even though Washington doesn't recognize your services and actually prohibits them, me being an Indiana resident, if I find myself in a self-defense situation in Washington State, I'm actually covered. That's
Correct.
really good information, man. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you guys because there's a lot of nuances about the services that I simply didn't understand. Let's go ahead here. Let's see. I'm just kind of scrolling through the super chats. Got a lot of thank yous coming in, guys. Thank you for the super chats, man. It's truly awesome the support that you guys offer us here at the Military Arms Channel. Okay, do you all cover red flag cases in case? Okay, so that was a question you and I were talking about just before we went live. How does this work with red flag states? So I live in a red flag state, so it very well could happen. You know, if I unfortunately would go through a divorce, you know, allegations could be made that I'm some sort of crazy lunatic, and they come and take my guns away from me. What, if anything, can the USCCA do to help me?
Yeah, a lot actually. Great question. We're happy to take these questions. We've had the USCCA Legal Defense Foundation incorporated since 2011, and it was mainly founded for things just like that. So if somebody were to be involved in red flag or ERPO or unfounded restraining order, gun confiscation without due process, something like the red flag law, give us a call. We'll get you in touch with our foundation. That's exactly what it's there for. So, although it's not part of the membership protection, they're just two different products. We do have something in place to provide protection for those that do need it.
Awesome. And so that's another question I have. So far, we're through the super chats. And so I wanted to ask this question. So let's say that I find myself in a defensive situation. I had to use my firearm. And, you know, me personally, I'm not going to say anything until I speak with an attorney. Now, again, we have stand our ground, castle doctrine. But despite that, it's not that I'm anti-law enforcement. It's just that I'm not a lawyer, but I watch an awful lot of lawyer shows on television. And it just seems as a best practice if you find yourself interacting with law enforcement, especially with something as serious as a self-defense shooting, you know, it's best to seek legal counsel before you answer any questions. I would just politely say, you know, I'm not trying to be obtuse or, you know, avoid your questions, officer, but I would prefer to speak with legal counsel before I answer any of your questions. And so what should I do at that point? Should I contact USCCA and will you guys take things from there? Or do I retain legal counsel in my state? Then you guys reimburse those costs. How does it work once you find yourself in that situation?
Yeah, if you find yourself in that unfortunate situation, pretty much do what you had just mentioned. We provide instructions on the member ID card just so you always have something there to reference. But yeah, basically, you're going to say, I'm willing to cooperate. I'm just not going to answer any further questions. And really, you shouldn't. You can talk to criminal defense attorneys across the country, and I'm going to go ahead and say 10 times out of 10, they would prefer that their client says absolutely nothing as
Yeah.
opposed to try to explain their side of the story. And we'll advise that. Just go ahead and, you know, retain your right to silence and keep that, and then go ahead and get in touch with the USCCA. Give us a call. We have a process in place for that. We'll get you in touch with a critical response team, and then we'll make sure we get basically the dominoes falling in place to
Okay.
get you your protection. If you don't have an attorney already, we're more than happy to help facilitate that. We have 1,100 attorneys across the country, critical response team attorneys in all 50 states, so they're available 24/7. But Tim, if you have, you know, if your brother's an attorney or a family member or a good friend's an attorney and you trust him to take on your case, we're more than happy to take that person on for your case. You do have that right and that freedom to use whoever you wish to defend you, and then
Okay.
we'll make sure we pick up that. Basically, we have the deep pockets to help you out.
Okay, so that's how it works. So you can either defer to you guys to seek out legal counsel. You can help us from your, what'd you say, 11,000 different attorneys that are currently.
11, yeah, 1100. Yep.
1,100. Okay. I added an extra zero there. I do that occasionally. So 1,100 attorneys that you guys currently work with. So you can either tap that resource, or if you already have an attorney or you prefer to pick your own attorney, you can do that. And then at that point, USCCA will pay your legal bills. So you have up to X number of dollars based upon the package that you have purchased. So that comes from the Tyven Show, and it's a super chat. And so, Tyven, thank you very much, brother. Could you be a little bit more detailed on the different levels of coverage? So can we kind of touch upon what the different packages are, what their monthly cost is, and what the differences are? Sorry to put you on the spot here, man. So I'm sure, hopefully you got all this stuff memorized.
Yeah, I get these questions all day long, so it's
Cool.
really not that big of a deal. The cool part is that all this stuff, I mean, we're pretty transparent here. We don't hide much when it comes to business practice and what we offer, how we offer it. Just because we understand that people want to know these questions. So you can take a look at our membership agreement at uscca.com, usconcealedcarry.com. If you go to join now, you can look at all the different levels of protection and then dive into the membership agreement if you wish. But there are three levels: gold, platinum, and elite. When you start out at the gold membership, you're going to be right around $22 a month, and that's going to get you $600,000 in protection. The platinum membership is going to be right around $30 a month, and that's going to get you the 1.15 million. And then lastly, our elite protection is going to be about $47 a month, and that's $2.25 million in protection. And those large numbers I throw at you are a combined amount just to make it easy to talk about, but they do break down into criminal versus civil protection. So you're going to have a certain amount of money available in criminal court, and then a certain amount of money available in civil court. You will see that the bigger number is in civil court. As you had talked about earlier, Tim, basically we live in a litigious society. People can
Yeah,
sue for pretty much anything. Hospital bills, pain and anguish. How do you put a dollar amount on pain and anguish? You can't really. You make it up.
sure.
So that's where that number comes from. They can stretch out for anywhere from 1 to 7 years, depending on the type of case you were involved in. It really, I mean, you look at our justice system; it's not a quick acting system. So you gotta wonder.
That, and there's lots of attorneys out there that will take a look at a case like this and say, "Oh man, yeah, we can go after this guy, and let's I'll take this case on contingency." And they're going to go ahead and wreck your life. The person suing you really doesn't have any money in the fight because the attorney is banking on the fact they think they can win, and they're just going to run up legal bills, and their payday comes should they win. Then they take a chunk, 40-60% or whatever the take is from the legal action should it be decided in that person's favor. But if you have this type of protection and you have the higher level of protection, then you should be able to fend off such legal attacks. And like you said, we do live in a very litigious society, and people are willing to sue over anything. You talked about pain and suffering and things like that, but let's say that you wind up shooting a guy that assaulted you at the grocery store. Totally fictitious situation, of course, but then his wife or his son or daughter decide they want to sue you because now that that person is deceased, they no longer are bringing in revenue. And so they think over the course of 10 years, he would have earned $500,000, and that family's been denied that income. So now they're going to sue you for that, along with pain and suffering and all the other stuff. So, I mean, when it comes to civil matters, and that's why I was so concerned, and that's why I ultimately went with USCCA coverage, is because civil matters are extremely likely. I'm not that concerned that I'm going to get into a situation where I'll be criminally charged. But, if now here's a question for you. So let's say that I find myself in a situation, I'm purely hypothetical here, of course, I find myself in a situation where somebody's assaulting me. I pull my weapon and it de escalates, that ends it. And then that person goes and files a police report and says, this guy pulled his weapon on me for no reason whatsoever, and I was scared for my life, and this guy should be arrested because he just out of the blue pulled a gun on me. Now, does USCCA protect against those types of situations?
Yeah, we do actually. So that's in most states that's considered brandishing.
Mhm.
And that's probably one of the most popular things that happens to our members is they brandish their firearm. It de-escalates the situation, and then they give us a call and say, "Hey, this is just what happened. I'm not being arrested. I haven't even the cops aren't even interested in interviewing me. I called them. This is what happened. Were there shots fired? Yada yada yada." So all of these different hypotheticals or real cases have so many different avenues that they can go down, and brandishing is one of the most popular that ends up happening here. And we've helped folks who have had to press the trigger, have just brandished their firearm. They've called the police. The police start interviewing them, and they want to have some sort of coverage there in terms of an attorney. They want to be represented. That's actually part of the coverage here. Before criminal charges are even charged against you, you can actually have an attorney there, and that coverage is intact from the USCCA. So you don't even have to be charged with something. If you were to be involved in a brandishing incident, you should be calling us right away and letting us know.
Okay, man, that's awesome. I didn't even know that until I just asked that question because, like you said, I've known so many people, not so many, but I've known a handful of people over the years who have actually been in that situation where just simply producing a firearm de-escalated the situation. And, I don't even know what the statistics are, but people have thrown around the number of, X millions of times a year a
Right.
firearm is used defensively, but a shot is never fired, and therefore it's not recorded. So, and that's an argument used in the ongoing debate whether or not we should have a Second Amendment right and the right to protect ourselves. So, like you said, that's interesting to know that that's actually one of the most common claims that somebody will come to USCCA with, and that is, hey, the police are asking me a bunch of tough questions. I'm really scared. Boom, USCCA will either get you an attorney or pay for your attorney that you've already, retained their services, and you are covered. You didn't have to fire a shot. Charges haven't even been filed. There's just an inquiry. The police are pressuring you. You feel scared, and you want an attorney there. USCCA will be there for you, in essence, is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically. And it's funny you actually mentioned brandishing case like that. When I was first starting out on the phones, that was one of the first phone calls
Oh, wow.
I took where someone was going through an incident was a guy who had just pulled over to the side of the road. He had just brandished his firearm. I believe it was an attempted carjacking, if my memory serves me correctly. It was about 4 years ago or so. And I could tell he was breathing a little fast, and the cops weren't even there yet. That's how quick he gave me a call.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was just, you could hear him start to calm down and have a little bit of peace of mind, knowing that somebody else was on the phone. I wasn't a police officer. I wasn't an attorney. I was somebody who was actually willing to help get those resources going. And it was a very interesting situation, but definitely one that allowed me to see as a new worker here what we truly provide. And that just ingrained me more in what we do. And I had been a member actually before I ever worked here, so that kind of just ingrained and kind of tied me down to what we do here.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that would be really, really helpful if you find yourself in a defensive situation. I mean, adrenaline's pumping, you're scared. Many times people want to talk. They want to convince the police they've done nothing wrong. And so you automatically, just as, kind of a self-defense mechanism, but in this case it can wind up getting you in a lot of trouble. You want to
Yep.
chat, you want to talk, you want to say, no, 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 this is what happened, and go into detail with the police officers. But you got to keep in mind that everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. And so it would be very comforting to say, hold on, officer, I would like to talk to an attorney. Actually call you. I'm sure your staff is well trained to say, please don't say anything to the police officers until you have legal counsel. We're going to get you set up with an attorney. Just remain calm. You don't have to answer the officer's questions. Just be polite and decline to answer the questions until you have legal representation. I'm sure that's what your call center staff are trained to do, and I assume they're available 24/7.
Yep. And unless you're chatting too, I mean, it's the same thing. Chat, email, phones, we're here to help. That's just what we do. That's our customer service. People don't only carry guns from 8 to 5 during the week.
Yeah.
Need to be available all the time.
Awesome. That's good to hear. One of the super chat questions: do you have attorneys in Montana?
Yep, we have attorneys all across the country, 1,100 of them. You had mentioned that 11,000 number. It's actually better for us to have a smaller amount of attorneys because we do go through a vetting process for them. So we're not just letting everybody who has, attorney next to their name join our network and sing the praises of the USCCA. We want folks who have done their, done casework. They've taken on a gun case or a criminal charge type case. They have some understanding of the firearms industry or have defended someone who's had a self-defense charge, something like that. So we are doing work and vetting those folks, and we do have those in all 50 states. So we're not just taking on anybody.
Outstanding. And we have another super chat here from Ryan. Do you think a plan like this would help a new CCW individual feel more confident to carry their firearm, especially in the political environment recently? I can answer that question from a person that actually subscribes to and uses your services. And I'm not new to CCW. Matter of fact, I carried long before these services were even available. I was carrying a firearm, and I always lived in constant fear that I would find myself in civil court should I have to defend myself. And so my personal response to the question would be, yeah, it's darn comforting to know I have that USCCA protection. And that's why I had it for a year. And it was kind of really impressive because a couple of times within that year, there were some instances where I thought perhaps I was going to need my firearm for self-defense. Turned out nothing happened, but it immediately went through my mind, oh boy, this could go sideways. I got coverage. I really did think that. It was like super comforting knowing that it took away that fear that, if I actually have to do this, I'm going to get, screwed over in the court system, either criminally or civilly. So for me personally, as a long-time carrier, I found it to be extremely comforting. I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, you're not alone. There's a lot of folks out there who kind of either their family isn't into firearms, or maybe their spouse isn't, or they don't have any circle of friends that are into firearms, but they realize that all of a sudden they are their family's first protector. They might actually be going into this whole thing alone. So to have a group, an association, a membership base, 300,000 strong that is like-minded, not necessarily politically. We have members all across the country that are liberal, Democrat, conservative, Republican, but they have one thing in common, and that's, they want to protect their family. They need to protect their family. And being a brand new concealed carrier, this is the place to be. We have a lot of good education and training available. We have instructors all across the country. So if you want to get out and take a class, the Certified Instructor Network is available for you to go take a class. And then also that Concealed Carry Magazine subscription comes to your door 8 times a year. A lot of good articles in there. You have
a lot of really good articles. I'll tell you what, it's a lot better than Guns and Ammo and stuff like that these days. You guys have some really good articles.
Yeah, and the cool thing is you probably recognize some of the names that are writing in there. It's not just somebody who decided to pick up a pen and write about how much they love guns. There's guys who have been in the industry for a very long time, well known, writing articles in this magazine, and it's won a multitude of awards for not only its layout and its design, but for the content in industries and against other magazines like gardening magazines and stuff like that, where the judges, they don't like what we do, but they have to because it's that good.
Yep. And just for those guys that might just be tuning in, there is a link down below in the description. If you follow that link will take you to USCCA's page where you can sign up for their services, and a portion of that will actually go to support us here at the Military Arms Channel going forward. We're going to mention that in videos because we want folks to basically check them out and see what they're all about. And if you do carry a firearm defensively, I personally believe, and as a member of their services for over a year, I think it's money well spent. So we have another super chat from Tyven. Brother, thank you so much. What about none of the, this one's really good. And this is another one I hadn't considered. What about non-firearms related instances for coverage? Like someone uses a knife or other items to protect yourself. You get in, a fisticuffs, or you wind up having to use your pocket knife because you didn't have your firearm. Does USCCA also protect you, or is it strictly for firearms?
Yeah, self-defense, as you know, doesn't stop at the firearm. The inherent need and ability to defend ourselves has been around since we were using clubs and stones and sticks to protect ourselves. So the USCCA recognizes that and understands that, and our coverage is for all legal weapons of opportunity. If you look around and you find something on your shelf that you might grab to defend yourself, if you're not near your gun, which you should be because you should be carrying it home,
Yeah.
we'll protect you. That coverage is available for you.
Man, that's really cool. See, these are great questions that everybody's coming up with, and these are questions that I wouldn't have thought of. And yeah, that's really, really interesting. That's good to know. We have another super chat here. And the question is, what about if you experience an ND, which is a negligent discharge, or an AD, accidental discharge, and no one is hurt, but the police are called? Is that something that somebody would need to contact you about? I assume it probably might be if criminal charges are pending or they're threatening to charge you with a crime. But what would somebody do in that case?
Yeah, so the coverage for the USCCA is meant for Self-Defense Act. So if you're defending yourself against, a threat of great bodily harm or death, we're there to protect you. Unfortunately, we're not there to cover negligence.
Okay, so if you're cleaning your gun and you fire a shot, goes through the wall and kills the neighbor's dog, USCCA isn't going to get involved in that situation.
Correct.
Okay. All right. We got another super chat popped in. Wow, $50, man. Thank you so much, Peter.
Awesome.
Sorry, came in late. Leo here. Great. So we have a law enforcement officer. And
Awesome.
is USCCA available in New York State? If not, I have a second home in PA. Can I get it there and be covered in New York State? So first of all, Peter, I just want to let you know that we talked about law enforcement. So if you're on the job and you use a firearm defensively, that's going to be handled by your department. Now, as a civilian, when you're not working, how does that work, Brock?
Yeah, so we have a lot of law enforcement, both active duty and retired officers here as members of the USCCA who recognize that they're still the peacekeepers. They still have that drive to protect their families and those around them. Unfortunately, some departments don't cover their guys if they're involved in an off-duty incident. There is coverage available for off-duty in the off-duty capacity for those guys.
Okay.
Unfortunately for Peter, in the state of New York, we're not offering protection. And it's based off your primary residence. So if there was an incident and we start looking into it and find that somebody used their address in New York, but they're really or they use an address away from New York, but really they are a taxpayer in New York. Everything were to come back to living in the state of New York, the protection would cease at that time. So it behooves people to be honest, put down their primary member or their primary residence for their membership.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're working diligently. We want more than anybody to be able to offer the protection in those states, so we're working hard at it.
See, and that's the important part here, guys. It's not that USCCA is turning their backs on these states. It's these states going out of their way to say USCCA and services like that are not allowed in our state. So it's your state doing it. USCCA would cover everybody in all 50 states if they could. And they're fighting those battles. They're trying to get into those states. And but the unfortunate reality is there's a lot of states, more and more, unfortunately, every year it seems, a lot of states that are turning staunchly anti-gun, and it's unfortunate for those folks that live in those states. It truly is.
Yeah, and Tim, you had mentioned earlier about us being gun people, and we're not turning our backs on certain states. They're the people that work here, from Tim, the CEO, all the way down to people on the phones. We are in the gun industry. We didn't do this thing for the money. We're not doing it for the fame or notoriety. People truly care about the Constitution. This business was founded on the inalienable right of your right to self-defense and being able to defend yourself. And we are gun people through and through, from the top down. So if anybody is questioning, our actions on these states, or how we operate, we are 100% pro-gun and pro-Second Amendment here.
That's awesome, and that makes sense given the services that you guys offer. One thing that I wanted to circle back to at the beginning of the show, you had mentioned you wanted to dispel some myths. Do you recall some of those myths that perhaps you wanted to dispel, or have we already touched upon most of those topics already in the
Yeah,
chat?
Yeah, good question. We've touched on a couple of those. Some of the state deal. We had talked about just kind of going back through the chat here. Yeah, we talked about Washington, New York, things like that. There was one that I did want to touch on though, and I'm sure the question's going to come up at some point in time. Folks like to go with other coverages that are out there in the marketplace based on an unlimited coverage.
Mm-hmm.
We don't advertise as being unlimited, that we do have quote unquote caps on our protection. If you go anywhere and find an unlimited protection, usually you can poke holes in it. You start reading the fine print. Your cell phone that is unlimited, gigabytes or 4G or whatever, somewhere in the fine term or the fine print, the terms of use, there's throttling or there's some sort of catch.
Okay.
So we start up front. We put it out. Here's what we're going to offer for you. You can pick your own attorney. Some of the other companies that might offer an unlimited coverage, they force you to go with an attorney that they see fit. I'm sorry, but if I'm going to be choosing protection and how I want to be protected in court, I want to do my homework. I want to have the best person available. I don't want to be forced or told this is who's going to represent you in court.
Oh, that's very interesting, and I hadn't considered that because I know that we did touch upon earlier in the show that you guys did allow us to pick our own attorneys. But yeah, I would not want an attorney forced upon me if the attorney that you guys recommended and I went and met with them, I got a bad vibe. I just didn't want to go with them, and I, like you said, did my own research and I found another attorney I felt would best suit my needs. It's nice to know that with USCCA, I can go and pick my own attorney versus being forced into taking the attorney that would be recommended or provided to me.
But you could have
Go ahead.
you can have their unlimited services though.
Okay, right. So here's another really good question from a super chat. How does the coverage work for military members who transfer from state to state? Also, is there a discount for military service members?
Awesome. Yes, there is. Give us a call, chat, hit us up on social. 877-677-1919 is our number here. If you do call, please do Tim and Mac a big favor and tell them that you heard about the USCCA or were recommended by Military Arms Channel. I think that's the least you guys could do if you do give us a call. But we do offer a military and first responder discount.
Outstanding.
It's not advertised on the website. We don't require proof or anything like that. We trust that if you're gonna be a member here, you're gonna be honest with us. That's just kind of how we do business. To circle back to the question about military members moving around, just update us. Let us know where you're living. It's not really a big deal here with us as long as you're not in one of those states where we can't offer the protection. Just give us your primary address update. If you're not supposed to be carrying on your base or wherever you might be, that is a different issue for coverage. But if you're, just moving states and you're in the military, that's just fine.
So that brings up an interesting question. So do you consider their permanent residence where they're currently at with their duty station, or can they claim, like when I was in the military, I enlisted out of Kansas and that was my home, and I moved around while in the service. And then when I left service, I went right back home to Kansas for a while. So can you claim the address that you enlisted from and that is your home, or do you have to, if you move around every year or two because of, your command keeps moving you around, do you have to claim where you currently lay your head at night home for the purposes of this coverage?
Yeah, for most folks who are in the military and you have a permanent residence, let's say Wisconsin, you can keep your driver's license in Wisconsin, but you might be stationed 10 other places in your service time.
Mm-hmm.
Your primary residence might still be considered Wisconsin.
Okay.
So if the attorneys were to look at your case and dig in and see that your primary residence is in a certain state based off of where you pay taxes, your driver's license, your CCW permit, all that sort of thing, that's how it's going to be determined.
Okay, that's good information. All right, so we have another super chat here. Hunter, thank you. So USCCA will help you in civil and criminal court. Do they have a waiting period, or does that coverage start as soon as you join? So they're asking, like, if they sign up right now, they follow the link in the description, they go there, they sign up, and they hit submit, and you get your receipt saying thank you for joining. does coverage start right then, or do you have to wait 30 days, let's say?
Immediately. Yep, that's a
Immediately.
great part about having, we talked about that difference between the I word and having what we do. The membership is a legal and financial protection that begins the moment you sign up and you get that receipt saying thank you.
All right. Very good. Just going through the super chats here. We just got a super chat with a simple thank you, and that's greatly appreciated. Okay, it looks like we're through the questions. Did anything pop up on your side? I know that Spencer's over there watching questions. Is there anything that popped up that you think would be worth mentioning?
Yeah, so we have a question from Jeffrey. He asked if we cover everyone that carries in the home. So we do have the way the membership works is if let's say you're married, correct, Tim? Is that
Yes,
how
I
it,
am.
okay. Do you have kids at home?
I do.
Okay, great. So you're a member. If you were the only member in the house, your spouse and kids would be covered at home and on the property. If your spouse left or your kids left and traveled to the grocery store, that coverage would not extend to them at that point in time.
Okay.
But we do have a spouse add-on for only a couple bucks more. It's pretty significantly discounted. I haven't looked at your account. I probably should have before I popped on here.
It's just me, but that's interesting to know because I'm going to upgrade my account now. So as it stands, at home, my current plan covers my spouse. Uh,
And
my,
your
my,
kid.
my, my
Yep.
children are too young to be
Okay.
getting in gunfights, I hope. But should my wife find herself having to use, lethal force at home, she's covered under my current plan. However, if she leaves and goes to the grocery store, it stops there. Question: if I leave and go to the grocery store, does my coverage go with me and she's no longer covered at home?
Yeah, good question. So there's a significant difference there. So if you left the home and she's still at home, and let's say she calls you at the grocery store, hey, somebody's trying to break in the house. I have the kids in the bedroom. I'm armed, whatever, and she has to take care of business there. She's still covered since that's the primary residence.
Okay.
Um, so it's good to know.
Yeah, that's really good to know. I mean, this is amazing. I'm so glad that we did this chat because there's so many benefits that I wasn't even aware of that makes me even more happy that I have the coverage, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So yeah, there's some small differences like that, or nuances, I guess is a better word that some folks aren't aware of. But to be honest with you, Tim, your viewers could call in and ask these same questions, and they're going to get a pretty solid answer out of our customer engagement team. They're pretty spot on with answers. But we do offer a spouse membership for a pretty good discount if she does want to be covered, and then it's the same protection, so she'd be covered anywhere in the U.S. just like you are with your normal membership.
Outstanding. Well, I'll definitely be upgrading my membership for sure because my
Cool.
wife does carry. She doesn't carry as often as I do. When we're together, she just kind of trusts that I'll be the one having to take care of any bad things that may pop up. But I think it's definitely worth having that coverage. And then as my children become old enough and they get their concealed carry licenses, I'll be extending that coverage to them as well. And I'll be sending them off to get some training. And I think that's really critical here, guys. USCCA does offer a lot of great information on their website through their periodical that they'll send to your house, but also they offer training. And this is a question for you, Brock. Do you offer training specific to each state? So, what's good to go in Indiana may not apply in Tennessee or Georgia, or the Carolinas. So, if I were to take a course, would that address what my specific laws are in my home state?
Yeah, for sure. So we certify instructors across the country in the concealed carry and home defense fundamentals curriculum, and then we have state supplements. So a lot of times, what we're finding is that folks are already certified by another organization or agency in their state. They've been teaching classes, but they really have a lack of curriculum to teach. So they come to us, they get a really rock solid curriculum to cover the fundamentals of concealed carry and home defense. What do I need to know as somebody carrying a gun before I actually carry a gun? And that's
Yeah.
what our curriculum does. And those instructors are going to be from different states. So somebody asked a question about Michigan. We have instructors in Michigan who are teaching our material, a solid curriculum that is going to cover basically the stuff that is true no matter where you go across the country. It's just inherent self-defense basics when it comes to carrying a gun. But then they're also going to have a supplement that talks specifically about Michigan state law. And that is going to be anywhere you go. In any of the states that have our curriculum as recognized national training curriculum, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to find that the instructor is teaching the good, solid, basic stuff, and then they're also going to have a state supplement to make sure they're covering what they need to cover in that state.
Outstanding. Well, it looks like some of the questions. Well, it looks like the questions are kind of winding down here, and I just got a super chat, but with no question. Thank you so much for the support. So, unless you guys have something else you want to add, or another question pops up here in the next couple of minutes, we'll start to wind things down. But is there anything that we haven't discussed that you think would be important for the viewing audience to know about your services?
Yeah, quick one. It's been asked a couple times. Someone's asking about the USCCA being represented by the same group that another large gun rights organization is partnered with. We're our own separate organization. Tim Schmidt started this at his kitchen table more than 15 years ago or so. It started out as Concealed Carry Magazine. Now it's grown into the giant protection that we really truly believe in. So we're our own thing. We're out here in West Bend, Wisconsin, and that's just it. There is no, secret meeting or anything like that, or talking heads for us. We are our own organization, ready to protect members across the country.
Outstanding. And we had one more super chat come in. Is Michigan, listen to me. You'd think English was my second language. Is Michigan covered?
Yep. So if you're in Michigan and you're out carrying a gun and want to have our protection, you most certainly can. Right now, there's only 3 states that we're not allowed to offer that protection in, or we've made the decision to not offer it. It's New York, Washington, and then New Jersey is the most recent one. If you're in New Jersey and you're listening, don't be alarmed. We're going to be reaching out to you here shortly. This is it was brought to our attention a few weeks ago, so we're working on that, just like with Washington and New York. But you will be receiving information from us on what's happening, what we're working on. We're not going to leave you high and dry.
Okay, and just to be clear, based upon what he said, that the decisions that have been made is because of the state's action and not because USCCA doesn't want to cover the 3 states mentioned. This is based upon the actions of these states trying to curtail the options available to their citizens in terms of being able to protect themselves should they find themselves in a self-defense situation. So, Brock, was there anything else that you wanted to touch upon before we kind of wind things down here?
I think we pretty much covered all the basics. If folks have more questions, or they got to stew on it for a little bit before they ask that question, they can call us. We're here 24/7. If you want to call and talk to me, you most certainly can. I'll be here. I'm here Monday through Friday. You can give us a call in the call center, ask for me, say you saw it on Military Arms Channel. I'd be happy to answer your questions. But the folks that answer the phone every single day, they're more than competent and more than happy to answer your questions. I just happen to be a supervisor in the call center and not on the phones all day.
Okay, well, cool. It's nice to know that they can actually call and actually speak with the guy that they saw right here on the Military Arms Channel. And again, guys, link down below in the description. It's going to be in all of our video descriptions going forward. We're going to continue to work with USCCA. If you use that link, it definitely benefits you, but it also helps support us here at the Military Arms Channel. I think there was one more thing that I want to touch upon when we were just starting off the broadcast. You had said something about if they go to the page now to sign up, there's some sort of a special going on, or am I just having old man brain?
Nope, that's correct. We always have some sort of cool bonus going on. Right now, you get entered in to win some training, which is pretty cool. If you take a look at the website and get signed up, you'll see the bonus there. I'm sure some of you are getting emails from us, but basically it's a giant Ultimate Protector package. Spencer's helping me out here. You're going to get 7 chances to win a big package of training. So there's actually going to be 7 winners. That's open to those folks who get signed up. That will happen through your link, Tim. It'll happen if you give us a call. We'll make sure to get you signed up for that.
Outstanding. And we had one last super chat from my friend Jim, and thank you, Jim. He said that he learned quite a bit tonight, and he's already a member of the services. All right, guys. Cool. So with that being said, we're right up on the hour mark. I would like to thank everybody for joining us on the live stream tonight. Later this week on Friday, we're going to do a kind of a state of the second update with our friends over at GOA. Eric Pratt will be with us to answer questions, but he has some information of a political nature that he thinks is important for us all to digest and hear. So we're going to have that happening on Friday. I want to say that's right around 3 or 3:30, and then later on Friday at 5:20 Eastern Standard Time. I will be on the Sebastian Gorka show again, and we'll probably be talking politics, given that's the nature of the Sebastian Gorka show. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming and joining us tonight, Brock and Spencer, who's off scene. It's been really informative for me. I learned things I didn't even know about the coverage. I already have, and I definitely will be updating. I'll be giving you guys a call offline to talk about upgrading my package to
Cool.
include my wife and then down the road my children. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for 11 years of support. If you're interested in joining, don't forget there's a link down below, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks, Tim.